son. Where'd you find this?
Damn, son, that's disgusting.
What is up, everybody? We're here for a special episode of the damn podcast. This is the Kohlfest special. We had Mark Cole from Reverb come in and talk about Kohlfest, a festival that he puts on every year. This year, the main headliner is We Came as Romans. There's also I See Stars, tons of other bands, so get your asses out there. Since we don't have a musical artist on this week, we're just going to throw Carolina on by Seven Revolutions, since Mark and I met at one of my band's shows back in the day. For those of you that don't know, I was in a band called Seven Revolutions, as was Rob, the producer. So without further ado, Kohlfest 2017 with Mark Cole on the damn podcast. We're here today with Mark Cole from Reverb, and we're going to talk about Kohlfest, which is a show that he's been putting on for quite a while now. We'll get into that during this interview. But I guess we'll start this whole thing off with, how did Kohlfest start, Mark?
Kohlfest actually started by accident. Actually, back in 2006, I was playing in a cover band, and we had rented Terre Haute Community Center to
I recall.
To do a cancer benefit. And a couple weeks before the show, we had everything booked, locked in, and our guitar player was like, "Hey man, I can't do this event." And we already had paid for the hall, we had paid for the sound crew to come out, and we didn't really know what to do. And my band just sort of left me hanging. And I was out with the sound company and my wife looking at the building and trying to figure out what we were going to do. We started throwing some ideas around, and they had said, "Hey, you're connected with a lot of local bands. Why don't we try to do a show?" And jokingly, he said, "Hey, why don't you call it Kohlfest?" And it sort of took off. I hit a bunch of my friends up that played in bands, and that was the first year.
So this is the, 11th year now?
Yeah, technically there was a couple years that we didn't do it. I didn't do it in 2011, and I didn't do it in 2014.
But it's, pretty much been going on for over a decade now, I guess, either way.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so, wow. I'm so used to doing fucking bands. And I'm just like, do you want to talk about the bands that are on it this year to kind of let people know what they're going to be getting into?
So this year, the lineup's pretty diverse. We went with a completely different direction this year. We Came as Romans, I See Stars, Oceano, Slaughter to Prevail, new band on Sumerian Records called American Sin, which I really, really digging. They got that cross between All That Remains and Asking Alexandria with Volbeat. Really cool. Check them guys out if you haven't heard of them guys yet.
What's that band called?
American Sin.
Okay.
We also have Kissing Candace, It Lies Within, Left to Vanish, and My Heart to Fear. Rounding out the national acts on the bill.
That's awesome. Then obviously there's going to be some locals on it, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we got about, I think there's going to end up being like 14 local and regional bands on there as well.
How many days does this go for?
It's a one-day event. Starts at noon. It'll end around probably midnight.
That's going to be a quick turnover.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten so used to it with doing, events like Kohlfest and Tsunami Fest, and, we did the Pagoda Metal Fest this past winter with Devil Driver and Head PE. We've gotten so used to just cranking bands out, and doing quick changeovers. We use a back line. We got probably the best back line of any venue out there.
You just have them there all the time?
Yep.
And then you just throw them up?
Yeah, we got 4 JCM 1960s lead cabinets. We have 2 Ampeg 810s, and we have 2 Pearl drum sets. And
wow.
Bands just bring their heads and their breakables.
That's above and beyond shit there.
Yeah, I mean, it works. I mean, we got bands that, love coming to Reverb and asked to play our back line, because our gear is better than some of the gear that they're using. So.
Oh, definitely. Especially, you're a bass player, you get to play on a fridge.
Yeah,
that's always fun.
Yeah, when I was playing there, I
don't have to carry it.
Loved leaving my cab at home, my orange at home, and just going and playing the Ampeg.
Yeah, I think when we did our show, I think everybody used their own drums, and we still did 20-minute switchovers, which was still I think was pretty impressive overall. I think we had 20 minutes for that one band to get their stuff off and us to get ours up, and I think everybody got through that actually, which was not always something that's a given with especially with local bands where they don't know how to get their stuff off the stage. But
yeah, for sure. I mean, we've gotten it down to 10-minute changeovers for the most part, and I mean, I can do it real quick. I'm usually hands on with everybody, and I can usually get a band off in 3 to 4 minutes, and the next band on, and give my sound guy 2 minutes for a line check.
Wow.
That's the guys in Devil Driver's crew when we did Pagoda were really stressing. They didn't know how we were gonna make it through the day with 15 bands on a show, in 10 hours, and I mean we cranked it out. The crew was really impressed on how quick we just knocked everything out, and I usually have 2 stagehands, and then I'm usually up there, and we just roll with it. Kohlfest I have 2 stages, so I'll have a crew of like 6 or 7 guys that'll be knocking things out on both stages.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where do you put the second stage? Is it it's in Reverb, or are you doing it somewhere else?
It's actually outside. We have a whole patio bar.
Oh, okay.
We have a small stage out there. We're hoping to make some changes to that, before the festival, and revamp that stage a little bit. But it's outside, which outside holds about 500 to 600 people inside the gates. So it's a nice day. Last year for Whitechapel, I mean, come 12:30, that patio was packed, that outside area was packed, and it looked great.
Yeah, Whitechapel's pretty great.
That show was insane last year. We when we started going over what we were going to do for Kohlfest, my boss said to me, what do you want to do? Who's your goal? And I said Whitechapel. He said, pick a more realistic goal. And I said, that is my realistic goal. And I emailed the agent, and through some negotiation, it came back, and it worked out, and it was awesome for me because I'm a huge Whitechapel fan.
They're great.
And they put on a great show. They were cool guys to work with. I was hanging out in the dressing room with them guys for a little bit, and just really down to earth guys. They were
Hopefully, plus it built a relationship up for when they tour down the road if they ever needed to come to a venue and they were in between shows. Or
it would be great to have them back.
Yeah.
I mean, they put on such a crazy and great live show.
That's awesome.
So what can people expect when they attend your festival?
Just a good time. It's a great time. It's a great day. We try to keep it with a great atmosphere. Cold Cock is one of our sponsors, so we're usually giving some Cold Cock swag out. Cold Cock whiskey. They sponsor the second stage. They did that last year as well. Got some new sponsors on it this year, that are going to be there. iRock Radio and Rock Rage Radio will be out there. Rock Rage Radio is actually going to be doing some broadcasting live. So that's
great.
Something new this year that they're going to be doing, and doing some interviews and broadcast live. So but overall it's a great day of metal. Great day of fun.
So you're in a band yourself? Well, probably several bands, or is it just the one?
Right now I'm not doing anything. I'm not playing with anybody right now. I'm jamming with some guys, off and on. But the last serious thing that I was in was 20 to 8, which broke up in 2014, 2013, somewhere in there.
We played that show, the reunion show that you
Yes.
did. Was that the last show you played? Or
Yeah, that was the last show we played. We had talked about doing a reunion show again this year. Just try to keep it. We can do one or 2 shows a year. It's hard because our drummer moved to Georgia to pursue medical school. So it's hard.
Stop. Get your priorities straight. Come on.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Playing in a band's not as important, I guess.
No. It's like, come on. You want to be a doctor?
But yeah, we it's still in the works. It's still in the talks. Talk to all the guys, on a regular basis, and we want to keep that going.
So since you started you pretty much started from the bottom with this whole promotions thing. What was the voyage like going from booking shows at fire halls by
Booking a show
yourself.
by accident.
Yeah, to actually booking for a prestigious venue.
I mean, it's been a crazy ride. It's been a long, almost 12 years. I mean, like you said, I started literally in the basement, and actually, you guys played my first show at the. I can't even remember what it was.
Was that
called
that one birthday party thing?
Was that the Effort Rec? Was that?
It was the Bridge. It was a community center in the basement in Ephrata.
Didn't
yeah.
who the hell Dressed to Kill? Like
Dressed to Kill.
They, like,
yeah, there was like a
took that-
mini riot in that
Yeah.
show.
yeah, they were
Yeah.
pissed.
Yeah, the one guy pulled his pants down and they cut the power and stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, that was wild shit.
that was my first show. That was a benefit show
Yeah.
for my my niece and my nephews after my brother had passed away, and we a bunch of my friends again in bands had gotten together and said, hey, why don't we do something for your family, and so I put that on, and then it went to Terry Hill Community Center, and I mean I booked a lot of underground shows, from Ryan Holt's Fire Company, Reamstown Fire Company. There was some other fire companies in there, American Legion in Ephrata, which you guys played many shows there for me.
Was it? And then at that first show, Ryan and I had to share a mic.
Yeah,
Because
because
there's-
the second mic got broken during the mini riot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Don't make us play. Don't make somebody play before us. Apparently, they weren't very happy about that.
Yeah, we wound up. I think somebody was like, I made the mistake of putting my floorboard from amp right at the edge of the stage. So as people were walking in out of the door, they were stepping on my floorboard and changing the channels on my amp.
Yeah.
I was getting a little annoyed by that, and I think they were doing it on purpose too, because it was far enough away that somebody didn't have to do that. But it was a lot of fun anyway.
Saboteur.
Yeah.
definitely.
I mean, it certainly wasn't the worst show we ever played. I can tell you that. It was still a hell of a lot of fun.
Definitely was a fun night. Yeah, that's
So you came the whole way from Terry Hill and all these other places to Reverb. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember just playing shows, and you were just a guy coming out to shows, and now it's like you're like booking one of the bigger venues in the area.
that's how it started. I mean, I love music, I mean, ever since I'm, a kid, that's what I love to do. And, again, going to hardcore metal shows, as a kid and teenager, that's where that's where I love to be. Every Friday or Saturday night, as a 15, 16-year-old kid, there was always a hardcore metal show somewhere. And then, once I got out of high school, it was like a lot of those people and a lot of those venues started dying off. And that's where I sort of was like, all right, after the first Kohlfest, that's where I decided that I was going to start doing it, and putting back in what I love to do.
Yeah, it's
for so
awesome
many
to
years.
see somebody take their passion and turn it into a way of life. You went from a guy that was just going to shows and contributing to the community in that way to a guy that's bringing the shows to the community.
And making a living doing it on top of that.
That's another great part of it.
Yeah, like I said, it's been a crazy, long, drawn out process, but it's what I love to do. There's been a lot of ups and downs, and going to the Silo after Ryan Holds, I did some shows there, and then back last September, I quit my day job and I'd reached out. I was already working at Reverb doing security and doing some shows there, and reached out to them, and they were more than happy to give me the opportunity, and it's been great.
What's in the future for Kohlfest?
I mean, the sky's the limit for Kohlfest. I mean, it's grown so much over the years. Went from Terry Hill to Ryan Holt's Community Center, or Ryan Holt's Fire Company, I should say. Where it became 2 stages. And then 2011, when the venue decided to stop doing shows, we took a year off, and then we moved it to Reverb. Then in 2014, we took another year off to rebrand it and, sort of move it in a bigger direction. So, I mean, the sky's the limit. I'd like to see some bigger bands on it. I have a list of, unrealistic goals I would love to see become reality. Bands like Hatebreed and Killswitch Engage, Amur, August Burns Red, Fear Factory, just some of my favorite bands. I mean, I'd like to see maybe in the future become a 2-day event again. We did that one year. I did that in 2013, and it worked okay. But I'd like to maybe take it to a 2-day event. And then from there, I mean, like I said, sky's the limit. It would be cool to see it grow maybe into an outside festival or a bigger arena festival, maybe, or maybe even become a multi-day tour, where we're out on the road doing it.
Like a Sounds of the Underground kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that would be the ultimate goal. That's not in the next few years, but
think big. You got Whitechapel.
Yeah, we did get Whitechapel, and like I said, I'd love to just keep making it bigger and bigger. This year was the first year that I completely built it from the ground up. When we decided in 2014, when I decided to take the year off and started talking with the rest of the Reverb crew about how we were going to build it up, and make it bigger. The obvious thing was we're going to start doing national packages, and making nationals part of it. And in 2014 and 15, or 2015 and 16, I should say, we found a package. We went after other packages. 2015 with Butcher Babies and Upon a Burning Body, and then last year with the Whitechapel package. We built the fest around it. This year, I was determined that I was going to build it from the ground up. I was going to take bands that normally wouldn't play together and put them on a festival, put them on a show, and there was a little resistance with it, and it was a little bit more work, and there for a while we thought, hey, this isn't going to happen this year, or this is, instead of being early summer, is going to be late summer, because nobody was really bidding, and there was a lot of back and forth. At one point I had 4 different dates with 4 different lineups, and nothing was confirmed, and nobody was jumping in, and then it all fell together. There, like I said, there was some resistance on putting some of these bands together. Because
the top 2 don't seem like they were too bad to throw together. I don't.
No, I mean they
Romans
worked together great. And that was part of the negotiation, and actually, with doing it was, okay, when I locked in We Came as Romans, it was, we had to find another band that fit together with them. It couldn't just be, I put a couple death metal bands on with We Came as Romans. We had to find another band. That was part of, building it up. And then there were some weird things. Kiss and Candace, don't really fit the mold on any of them. But they're a band I love, and they're a band I worked with before. And, I hit them up, I hit their agent up, and, it was a band that, I was determined to make work on the festival, and
it's like, this is gonna fit worked. Regardless.
And I sort of put them in a prime spot to headline the Colcock stage, the outside stage, and sort of be on that level with I See Stars and We Came as Romans. So I'm anxious to see how that's going to work out and play out.
So do you bring in like a whole nother sound system for the outside stuff, or do you just have stuff in storage?
We actually have a whole second system that we use. We use it for our smaller shows. We use it for our outdoor stuff, and we use it for like when we do our floor shows. And it's a great system. It's 2 PV18 dual 18s subs. It's
was that the one that was in the small space over there before you changed it out?
It's sort of a hodgepodge of that.
Because that sounded great. Loud. In that room, it sounded awesome.
The system that was actually, the stuff that was over there is actually our side fills now.
Oh, okay.
So that whole main system became our main stage side fills.
Oh, nice.
But we got 2 dual PV18s, 2 community tops, and we got 4 monitors, that we go out
awesome, and, just for an outside stage. I'm sure
it
sounds great.
The system's great. It's really really built for it. I mean, we fine-tuned it, we dialed it in, and we have a
so you have to have a couple sound guys, I'm guessing, for that one.
Yeah, so we have 3 sound guys usually that do Kohlfest. But we have a nice Soundcraft mixer that goes with that. usually for Kohlfest, I like to switch it up. I usually like to try to get another X32 or, a digital mixer out there, so we don't have to lug all the rack gear, the effects and, gates and everything out there.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the X32s for stuff like that.
We talk about those on the podcast more than we probably should. Because they're just
they come
awesome.
up all the time.
For what it is, the mixer, we use X32s in front of house and monitor world now, and it's great. When I do smaller shows where I'm doing sound and we don't bring our sound guy in, I walk around with my phone or my pad and mix the bands when we're doing our local shows, and a lot of people love it, and it's so easy to use. I don't have to completely set up a whole nother system. I put the the speakers and stuff out in the monitors and everything, but it's they're great to use. I'd like to get more involved with them actually, but
we want one. We want to get one
definitely.
for whenever we start playing.
Well, most touring bands have them, and they just run their whole stuff out.
Yep.
Run a stereo right and left out to the board, and run their own
most
sound.
of the bands that come through, Reverb, are using X32s in one way or another, whether it's the
Studio
the full
Live,
version or they're doing the rack version.
Yeah, the monitor mixing or something. In-ears.
Lately we've had a lot of bands coming in and they say, look, we don't need anything from you. We're going to give you 2 lines to your main board. We have the rack version, the Air, and we're going to mix from the pad, and we're all self-contained, which is great. It's great for us. It frees up channels for all the other bands on the bill. But it's just been so compact. Some of the bands that come in, it's like, well, where's your gear? Fear Factory was one of them bands, which was awesome, but for me, it was like, I don't know what to do. I didn't have any gear to bring in. I didn't have, a stage to really set up. They literally rolled the rack in, and brought some drum cases in, and they were done. They said, we don't need no loaders, no help with anything. Their stage was so advanced. The drum triggers and drum pad triggering Dino's guitar
Kicks
effects.
Oh, really?
It was switching his effects
MIDI
without even touching. He wasn't
That's
even touching
awesome.
them. It was great. Like I
you
said,
played on a click track. You can set MIDI up to change your whole set.
Yep.
It's nuts.
Yeah, and like I said, they rolled in with a rack.
We're getting,
and
as Willie
drums.
Blaze would say, we're getting a little gear nerdy.
Yeah.
This might be like a little gear nerdy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time we saw one of those systems was we saw Failure.
Yeah, in Philadelphia.
In
at the Electric
Philadelphia.
Factory.
Yeah, and they took all the monitors off the stage, and we're like, what the hell's going on? Because they had in-ears, and they were running them from the X32.
Yep.
They're running all Axe effects and stuff.
Yeah, it was nuts. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like,
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So you've met a lot of famous bands and stuff like that. I'm sure. Do you have any stories about people being especially awesome or being awful? Do you have any?
you don't have to use any names, obviously.
But it'd be more fun if you did. But
The couple that stand out for me was one was Jesse from Kill Switch. I got pictures with him 3 years ago when they were there, and he was just laid back dude. He was hanging out all day. Me and him were talking, and he was skateboarding around in the club and hanging outside and signing autographs, and we actually got to take some time and sit down and talk and have a conversation. So that was cool. And Fear Factory was another one. I was like a 16-year-old kid again, when they played Demanufacture in its entirety. And I usually don't get too starstruck. Usually don't get, into taking pictures and stuff like that. But I got to do their meet and greet and got a picture with them. And, they were just really down-to-earth dudes. You hear a lot of horror stories, about Dino and, Burton, but it couldn't have been any wrong, from what you read about, how they can be, top notch, just jerks to everybody. They were nice as can be. They were probably some of the coolest dudes I've ever met, and they hung out with me out back and we talked for a while, and they were joking around with me, and it was great. In fact, Burton was actually at the club a few weeks ago for a show. He walked right up and said hi to me at the bar and started talking to me, which was great.
Nice.
You know, a lot of the other guys that worked there were pretty jealous. You know, they were calling me a kiss ass because Burton was standing
funny.
talking to me at the bar and not them. But
it's good to hear because you always wonder. I mean, if you never meet the people, you never know. You just you hear all these horror stories about different artists, and you wonder how people are if you actually get to meet them, and you've had some good experiences.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people like that. Des from Devil Driver was another one. Cool, laid back dude. A lot of people have bashed him in the media and said what kind of a jerk he is. And I mean, it for me, it couldn't have been any different. I mean, same thing. He was standing talking to me out back. I did security for his meet and greet, and I mean, he was cool. He was happy to be there, and he was just talking and having a good time. No care in the world. Most of the time for us, it's not the bands that are the headache. It's the crew. Some of the crews that come in. They think it's their venue. They own the venue, and they'll do whatever they want. And that's not always the case. That's our home. That's where we eat. That's where we live. For the most part, if I, other than sleeping, that's where I'm at. I'm there 6-7 days a week. So that's my home.
The one show that we came to, what was that? It was at Blood on the Dance Floor. The singer from that band was he was taking pictures with everybody in the crowd, whether they wanted to or not. He was a really nice guy.
Yeah. We've done them a couple times too, and he's always on the floor. He's always out there with his fans. He's really into his fans.
I actually have a Facebook picture with him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was my profile picture for a while.
Yeah, it's like we were there to see our friend's band, so I didn't even
Black
know
Letter Days.
Yeah, Black Letter Days, who was our podcast number 1. If you haven't heard it yet, go listen to it. But we were really impressed by how that guy, he literally walked up and talked to everybody in the room just about, like whether he was pretty nice. I was impressed. I mean, you never know what you're going to get with especially when somebody looks as crazy as he does, but he was super nice.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Like I said, we've had him there a bunch of times, and he's always out there with his fans. He's really into being a part of it. Probably one of the best experiences, now that you talk about that, was back in February, I believe it was. I booked A Killer's Confession, which is Waylon's new band from Mushroom Head. And Kissing Candace and Dead by Wednesday were support. And they did one of the coolest things that I've ever seen national bands do. They did a meet and greet that was not just for people who want to pay $100 to meet their favorites. They actually anybody who bought a ticket, anybody that had a ticket for the show, anybody who wanted to show up an hour early and buy a ticket at the door could come in and do the meet and greet. They bought pizza for everybody. They hung out for an hour before the show. All 3 bands, not just 1 or 2 members, all 3 bands complete. And they actually sat and watched every local band, every support band. They talked to them afterwards, gave them pointers, and just hung out in the crowd. I don't think other than to go get dressed right before Killer's Confession went on and to get their makeup and stuff on, for Kissing Candace and A Killer's Confession, I don't think they stepped foot in the dressing room once. And I had a lot of respect for that. You don't see that often.
No, definitely not.
You see that whole, mentality of we're going to come in, we're going to do our sound check, and then we're going to sit on the bus or the dressing room. We don't want to be bothered mentality with a lot of these bigger bands. Rightfully so. They...
Well, the other thing, the only reason I respect that, the only way I respect that by a vocalist is because if you talk a lot before you go on and you're trying to talk over everything... So maybe that's what the singer of OTEP was doing. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, that is a thing where you can literally blow your voice out talking over everybody and all the music.
Yeah, for sure.
So hey, who knows?
Yeah, that was probably the coolest experience that I've dealt with in almost 12 years of promoting.
Seems like about once a year you guys have like DMX in. Have you ever actually met him?
I did. That was a weird experience. That was a really weird experience. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it.
You don't even have to comment. I was just curious if you actually met him.
I did, and like I said, it was weird.
I can imagine.
He puts on a great show.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
but behind closed doors, it was.
If you look at the tabloids, He's on some stuff apparently.
But yeah, he's I've seen like clips of him playing live, and like he used to bring like a full backing band and stuff, and he was really, really good. He sounded just like his records.
Oh yeah, I mean it was an amazing show. You know, every time we've had him, I mean he's climbing up on our speakers. I mean you've seen how high our speakers are, and he's been standing on top of our stacks of speakers, and jumped off onto the stage and puts on a crazy show. But meeting him he talks the way he raps.
Hey Mark, what is up?
It's it wasn't I shouldn't say a weird experience.
Get me a beer.
It's hard to talk to him because he talks like he raps.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to get into a conversation.
Yeah, he sounds like he's angry.
But it was great to meet DMX.
I bet I'd like to meet him.
That was DMX was always one of the rappers that I liked. I'm not huge rap fan, but I've always liked DMX and some of the older rap, and so meeting him was cool.
Well, yeah, and it's just he's probably one of the bigger names you have in there on a regular basis. You have some pretty big acts in there from time to time, but he's definitely. He was on top of the world for a little while there, anyway.
By far, he was massive.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
at this point, obviously, he's not putting hits out anymore, but at his peak,
yeah,
Chappelle Show status,
Yeah, it seems like he was always on the schedule right around when we would play there. Like he would either play like 2 days before us or the day after us or something. We think he was following us around.
Following your tour schedule.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's how he stays famous.
Yeah.
So what advice would you have for a young kid that's trying to get into promoting shows and setting up his own shows, and he wants to kind of cut his teeth in that industry?
Man, that's a real hard question. I actually get asked that a lot. I get emails about that a lot and Facebook messages.
Obviously, being visible is one.
Yeah,
being at shows is
being hand in hand with it. A lot of people, and we see this at the club time and time again. We have these guys that say, "Oh, I'm a promoter. I'm gonna come do a show," and they come and they do a show at our club, and it bombs, it tanks. They didn't do the promotion. They booked a name.
They posted a Facebook thing to share.
A Facebook thing.
Isn't that promoting
an event? And they thought that,
I made an event and I invited 4,000 people. It's like, yeah, they're
That's
not
promoting.
gonna come.
So we see that a lot. For me, I would say it has to be a passion. It has to be what you want to do. Whether it's doing it for your friends' bands, that to give your friends' bands a place to play. Where I started out. Or whether it's, trying to get to booking and working for a venue, your heart has to be into it, because this is a business. There's a lot of up and downs. There's a lot of sharks. There's a lot of snakes, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and you have to be willing to put up with that,
A lot of empty promises.
Yeah. You can book a show that you think is going to be the best thing in the world, and it can be the biggest letdown, or you can book a show where you book a local show and you're like, man, this is going to be a 20-person show tonight, and you could end up with a couple hundred people. It's always a gamble. But your heart has to be into it. If you're trying to do it to make a quick buck, get out of it now, because that's not
There's
what
way
this
easier
is.
ways to make a quick buck. Do literally anything other than music if you want to make a quick buck.
Exactly.
There's no quick dollars in this business.
There's been times, over the years, especially when I was doing, cutting into doing nationals and doing the silo, that I literally handed bands my paycheck and said, here you go, and watch my wife sit in the corner and cry because she was like, well, now what are we going to do? You just gave away 2 weeks worth of pay, so it's definitely not something to get into if you're just trying to make a quick buck, like I said, or your heart's not there. You have to be involved.
Those nationals and regionals have guarantees.
Yeah, it's like speculating. You got to go, okay, are people going to come see this on a Wednesday? You know what I mean? Or people
And
gonna
on
come
the
see
other
this?
hand, let's talk to these local bands quick. The other thing is, you might see, I got to sell this many tickets to get on this show. But what you also got to realize is that these bands are getting guaranteed money that are coming in. If you're not helping bring people into the show, what is the motivation for the club to put you on these good shows?
Exactly, and let's talk a little bit about that.
Because the pay-to-play thing comes up all the time.
First, it's not just the guarantees of the band, and a lot of people just say, "Oh, well, this band's getting paid that much money." They don't see all the added expenses to the show. They don't see the band's catering. They don't see, oh, well, we had to rent a generator because they have all these crazy lights. You go to a venue and you see this crazy light show, 9 chances out of 10, that's all rented stuff or partially rented stuff. They don't see the cost of security, bartenders, staff just to open the doors. And on top of opening the doors, it's the cost of electric to turn the electric on for the day. There's so much stuff. You may have say $1,000 package,
guys.
But on top of that $1,000 package, there could be $3,000 worth of expenses. So it's not always, just paying for the bands. But when I hear pay to play, that's one thing that drives me nuts, because pay to play by definition is paying a lump sum to play a show. People around here don't know what pay to play is. That's stuff that happened in the 80s and 90s out in Hollywood. That's where bands like Motley Crue would pay $500 just to play a corner, bar on the strip. That's pay to play. Selling tickets to ensure your fans are going to come see you is not pay to play. Especially if it's not like we do it. We make sure that all bands get paid. Sometimes it may be, $1 a ticket. Sometimes it may be $5 a ticket. It depends on the show. It depends on the guarantee. It depends on what we're doing. But, that's the one thing that at Reverb, we've all played in bands and we've all done the ticket thing and we've all done the touring thing. And, we want to make sure our bands get paid.
Well, hey, even when we did that reunion, we got paid for playing.
That's always my number one priority is, and like I said, sometimes, on a show where we say, hey, it's 20 tickets and you're getting $1 ticket, it's $20, but it's something. It's giving back. It's
sell more.
And we always try to make it fair, and you're always going to have them people that say, oh, well, they didn't pay us enough, or, oh, well, they're only giving me $100 for a 25-minute set.
Hell, I'll take $100 any day of the week for playing a 25-minute set.
And for what most people don't realize is some of these nationals, that are on a lower level, that may be all they got, I see bands that come through all the time that you would think are getting thousands and thousands of dollars, and we're handing their contract is for $150
living off of merch,
and they don't care. They want to do it. I mean, all in all, there's a lot of things obviously wrong with the music industry, and a lot of people put it on the venues, and that's not necessarily the case. There's, again, like I said earlier, there's a lot of snakes and a lot of sharks. There's booking agents and there's management and there's all this other thing, that all these other things that come up.
Well, and not all promoters are like you either. I mean, like we've heard so many people come up to us and say, I'm a promoter, I promote shows, and you can't believe a word that comes out of your mouth. Like, not everybody's trustworthy. You're one of the few that we know that is, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's really refreshing because we've had guys where they're like, oh, you sell tickets, I'll give you 80% of your ticket sales. You come, we're like, okay, we'll sell a ton of tickets. And then, the band needs to get their guarantee, and all of a sudden we're not getting paid. You know what I mean?
And that's another thing we do that most venues don't, is we put everything in writing. We do a contract. And some locals look at it and go, why are you making me sign a contract? It's just as much for them as it is for us.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that they're going to sell tickets. They're going to keep up their end. But the other thing is, we want you to see, okay, this is what you're getting paid. This is what we're going to pay you tonight for selling those tickets. I've had some local bands come up to me and, say, look, we've never gotten paid money for playing a show. We've sold tickets for every other venue around here, and have never gotten paid. It's sort of refreshing to hear that too.
Trust me, we've played tons of shows for nothing but exposure.
Yeah, we've played shows where we sold like $15, $16 tickets. Like, we'd sell like 80 of them and not make a dime off the show. You know what I mean? Because the headliners got a guarantee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, that band gets.
Sure, these shows are great and fun.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. Though we don't regret.
I don't
playing
regret
any
it,
of them, but
yeah, at the same time, it's it's always hard handing that over and being like, I'm not going to get $1 back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing that I'd like to say to bands that say, oh, we can't do tickets. You know, if you don't have friends, you know, that are going to come see your band play, you know, if you don't have girlfriends or wives that are going to come see you play, maybe you might want to rethink being in a band.
Yeah, it's a business.
And that's not a shot to anybody, but, you know, old school promotion has died. You know, we used to do flyers. Bands used to do flyers, and they used to get out there and do stickers and do business cards and everything. Nowadays, people put their page on social media and invite a bunch of people and think that's it. That's all they got to do. You know, it's running your band like a business.
We handed out thousands of CDs in 7 Revolutions, dude.
Yeah.
When we started out, we made our own CDs, printed them, just went to shows and gave them away.
Yeah, I mean that's stuff you have to do as a band. You know, you can't come up and think that, you know, again, you know, creating a Facebook page and putting an Instagram post up is going to build your band. You know, you have to network. The other thing is, you know, don't play and leave a show. You know, that's my biggest pet peeve with local bands is they come, they play their set, and they leave. You know, stay and support. You know, you know, everybody talks about the scene dying. The scene's dying because everybody is killing it.
Everybody's self-absorbed.
You know, everybody's all about themselves, and then getting off stage and going back to their cell phones or their tablets or their social media. Enjoy the show. Watch the bands. If you're going to a show, watch the whole show. You know, I used to go to shows, and I would be there before doors, and I would be there after doors. I would watch every band, and you know there would be bands on the bill that I didn't like, you know, and I still go to shows, and I still watch bands that I don't like, you know, but that's what builds a scene, you know, that's what builds, you know, because if your fans are leaving because you left, that means the band after you isn't getting any other exposure. You know, if you're constantly playing to the same 10 or 12 people, you're never going to be able to move to that next level. You're never going to be able to sell any tickets to play a bigger show. You're never going to build a fan base. You know, when 2028 was playing, right as I joined the band, they had done a CD release party. I was in the band, but I wasn't playing live with them yet. But I was still helping push tickets and still, we did a CD release show where the old bass player's final show and where I was introduced as the new bass player, and we sold 250 tickets for our CD release show, you know, and then we had another 30 people come up to the door and say our name at the door. You know, that says something, that speaks volumes, because the band put in a lot of work. And even after, you know, I joined the band, we continued to put in work. You know, we continued to build that. You know, there was shows where we would go play where we would have, you know, 120 people on the floor, you know, and the band after us would have 10. You know, we networked. We did a lot of things, you know, that most bands don't do. You know, we held cookouts for our fans. You know, our singer would hold a cookout, you know, every weekend. Anybody's invited. Here's my address. You know, and not saying that you got to go to those extremes, but you know, we were very fan oriented.
And it showed you guys had a great following.
I mean, even when we did our reunion show, which you guys played, you know, we had
you guys had a great turnout,
great crowd there, and great turnout. And
I think the nice thing about our friends is that most of them weren't even into the kind of music we play, but they would still come out and see us play just to, you know, just to be supportive and to be cool, you know. And that was, and we love our friends, we love our fans, we love, you know. I mean, it's anybody who wants to support us, that's fucking awesome, you know. Like we could not be happier about that. But yeah, you guys put on a high energy show. You got the guy running around with a cape on. You're throwing snack cakes. Shit was nuts.
I mean, we did 400 people that night. You know, and I mean, that wasn't just us. You know, we had, you know, you guys, 7 Revolutions, you did your reunion as well that night. And, you know, we had a bunch of other bands on the bill, Throttle and Dear Lucid. You know, it was a built, you know, it was a co-scene, you know, it was a built scene, you know, of bands that I have worked with over 10 years, you know, when I did that show. And I mean, we did over 400 paid, you know, for a local show. There was not one national band on that show. And, you know, that's what it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, when I started in 2006 and 2007, I mean, you guys know, you played basement shows at the Effort of Legion when I was doing them, that we would have 200-300 people down
Yep.
there, you know, and people came, they stayed, they watched the whole show. You know, it's getting
It was a
harder and
community.
harder. Yeah, it was
It's not a community anymore.
Exactly.
Everybody's in their own cliques.
Yep. It's your own cliques. It's, you know, oh, well, you know, I'm in a deathcore band. I can't hang out with these kids and these
Yeah.
guys that are in this metalcore band because I don't like that style of music.
Yeah.
You know, and again, going back to Kohlfest, you know, that's the one thing that I wanted to do this year, you know, and the lineup shows that, is bring a diverse crowd to the show. You know, it wasn't just, you know, where last year it was mostly deathcore bands, you know, with Whitechapel and Fit for a King. You know, this year I wanted it to be a diverse lineup because, you know, some of the best shows I've seen and some of the best shows I've played are shows where, you know, not everybody fits. You know, it's different. I have a show coming up in June, the week after Kohlfest. I'm doing Fit for an Autopsy, and they're touring with Tombs and Moontooth, and all three bands sound completely different. You know, and at first I listened to it and was like, wow, this is like really weird. And the more I listened to the bands, you know, the more I respected and got, okay, this is what these guys in Fit for an Autopsy are trying to do. And you know, a couple of the guys at the club, we know some of the members for Fit for an Autopsy. My boss is good friends with some of those guys, you know, so I've gotten to know some of those members over the last couple of years. And, you know, I see what they're trying to do. You know, they're trying to do exactly that, you know, bring different crowds and different genres into their show, you know, which again is something that most bands just don't do.
Yeah,
they
anytime
don't care
you can
about
cross over your fan base, it's not a bad thing.
you know, and then you got bands that, you know, have done that really well, you know, and people hate them for it. You know, Hatebreed crossed over from, you know, that straight hardcore to metal and got a lot of, you know, got a lot of hate for it, you know, but in my opinion, they're the biggest metal or hardcore band, you know, in the scene, you know, and they're still killing it 20 some years later.
And they still crank out good albums. They're like the AC/DC of hardcore.
They're putting out great albums. You know, the newest album's killer. It's heavy. It's different. You know, it's a different direction for them, but you know, it's a solid record. And you know, they're doing it because they decided to do that crossover. You know, they decided to try to go a slightly different direction, and you know, it worked. Then you have some bands like Suicide Silence that completely, you know, bombed with it. You know, I think they went.
They tried.
They tried, and they went too far, too hard, and you know, they're rightfully so. They're getting a lot of backlash on it.
They should have done the Bring Me the Horizon route where they only shifted slightly on an album.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done the Whitechapel route.
Yeah, we're Whitechapel.
Putting and you know, the clean vocals that Phil from Whitechapel does is, you know, it's great. You know, I like that record. You know, it's completely different from the two records before it, which I absolutely loved. But you know, again, it's different. You know, it's trying to get them in front of new audiences, and that's what you have to do as a band. Because if not, you're going to go stale, and nobody's going to care. You know.
Well, that's like Randy's. Like, I'm tired of screaming all the time. He's like, they're going to be doing different stuff with Lamb of God.
And again, the new Lamb of God record's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, that those songs that he does the cleans on are phenomenal. You know, that's just a great record. You know, but again, it was something completely different for them.
You know, another thing that I really appreciate about your promotion style is that you're one of the only people I know who will do full on open calls for openers. Like, you won't just book the guys you know or just book your friends. You'll say, look, these are the shows I got coming up. I need openers for these. Is that who's interested? And then you'll give everybody an equal shot to actually try to pick up one of those gigs. You know what I mean? And nobody else does that as far as I know, and that's really cool to you know.
I love working with new bands. I love getting other bands in there. You know, again, it goes back to, you know, becoming stale. You know, if you're using the same, you know, 10 or 20 locals, you know, it's, you know, you're just burning that scene out. You're burning out, overexposing. And that, you know, that's one thing when I managed bands, you know, I managed bands for quite a few years. You know, I would tell them, look, you know, don't overplay yourself. You know, don't take shows at the same venue every month and do 50 to 100 tickets every month at at that venue, because what you're doing is you're taking 100 tickets at this venue, you're taking 100 tickets at that venue, you're taking 100 tickets at this venue. Then all of a sudden you got 4 or 5 shows in a month where you're selling 500 tickets, and you're like, oh fuck, what do I do now? I don't have money to pay for these. I don't have the fans. Draw it out. Play some local shows, play some basement shows, play some fire hall shows. Do your small stuff. But pick and choose your opportunities. Don't overplay yourself.
I'm a big 6 to 8 weeks in the same area. Like, if you're gonna play Lancaster, do it every 6 to 8 weeks. Don't do it once a month or every 2 weeks. Like, spread yourself out a little bit.
Yeah, I get hit up all the time for shows by bands, and then they're like, "Oh, well, we can't play that. We have 5 ticket shows this month." Don't take 5 ticket shows.
No.
Don't jump on every opportunity that comes at you either.
Yeah, you're taking ticket shows like in Philly or something, and you're from Lancaster. It's like,
now when we were
a tough sale.
When we were in Seven Revolutions, Gary was kind of a master at knowing which shows to take. We almost never had a bad show in that band because Gary had like a sixth sense for knowing which shows to take. Because we didn't take everything we were offered. We just took the ones that he wanted to do. I mean, he was always right. And the thing about it was
Magic 8 Ball.
Yeah, but we'd wind up. But the thing is, like, we never headlined. They offered us to headline the community. We're like, no fucking way. We're like, we're not big enough to do that, and we know that. You know what I mean? It's not a good idea. So we never did. They told us we could. We're like, no, we're not. Like, you guys want to do a CD release show? We're like, no. It's like we knew better. You know what I mean? It probably would have turned out okay. It probably would have turned out better than a lot of the shows I've been seeing there lately. But you know what I mean? But we didn't have. We just didn't have the draw, and we knew that. You got to be realistic with yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we knew we could draw a few hundred people, but it was like
that's about it.
I'm not going to put 800 people at the Chameleon.
100 people in a huge room looks like nobody. You know what I mean?
I think one of my favorite local shows back in the day was your CD release show at the Old Century Studios.
Oh, that was Carson's release. CD release.
That was for Black Ocean.
Yeah.
I think that was one of my favorite shows.
February 4th, 2006. That was the day that happened.
The building's right over on Ann Street over here.
Yeah.
He sold.
Chad Taylor got up and played with Century at that show from
live. Century and you guys and
Toda when they were really young.
Yeah.
This is their Apocalypse.
Before Grant was even in the band. That was like.
Yeah, it was when Ricky still played guitar when he sang, and Rob Rivera played bass for him from the Chameleon.
Yeah.
That was an amazing show. It was probably I still remember the layout. That studio was so cool.
Yeah,
had the little wooden drum riser in the corner, and that
Bowflex in the corner.
Yeah, the Bowflex in the corner,
trampoline,
and that was just a cool show. Again, that was a show you wouldn't expect in a record studio, in a recording studio. But that show was so much fun.
Yeah, that was where we recorded the album too. So it was really nuts because you're playing a show in the same live room that you tracked the drums for Carolina in.
Yeah, I still have like photos on my Facebook that were taken at that show because John Awad, the one photographer from, I guess he's from Philly or whatever, he was taking photos from that show, and he was doing all kinds of cool lighting effects and stuff, and we had a lot of fun with it.
The 2005 streak thing.
Yeah.
It had like the lights trails.
But yeah, it was that show was a blast. That was so much fun, and like they filled that room pretty good too. I mean, it was fun.
One of the I've already talked about this a couple times, but one of these days I'm going to put together a podcast where it's maybe like 5 or 6 of us, but all we do is basically it's so you want to start a band. Like, what do you need? Like, I want to do a podcast where we're just like explaining to a band that just started out what the proper channels are to get your band to the point where you're playing bars and clubs.
That would be great.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because, like, if you're starting out and you have no idea what to do, you don't know what, obviously you got to get fans, but, like, I have, like, a few select people that I would like to get in a room together. Like, you got the venue thing down and a couple guys that were in touring bands and just talk about it, because I feel like I would have liked to have had that kind of knowledge whenever I was starting out and you're serious about music. Knowing like what traps to avoid and
I think there's a lot of young bands out there that like you said fall into a lot of traps, and they fall into a lot of those snake pits.
Yeah, and you can't be afraid of everything. Like some, I think the other thing is people are always afraid to spend money on stuff or to do something that costs them money. Like like selling tickets is a pain in the ass, but it gets you on a great fucking show, and hopefully you'll get a percentage of that back. But it's a lot of people don't. They're like, oh, I'm not selling fucking tickets. I'm a fucking rock star, and it's like, dude, everybody's done it.
Bands don't want to sell tickets. Bands don't want to print flyers.
Yeah.
Again, it's an investment. It's a job.
Yes.
You have to put in to get back out. I mean, like I said, there's been countless times where, I put in so much money, into my bands and promoting, where I would waste whole paychecks.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I used to stand outside the Chameleon and hand my flyers out for shows at other clubs and fire halls. And then they ended up telling me I wasn't allowed to do it, so I would stand in the parking garages.
That's awesome.
But
that's where we would always stand across the street.
Yeah, across the street in the
hand
parking
out
garage.
CDs.
Yeah.
But again, that mentality is gone. There's not a lot of kids out there that will put the time in to go to a venue like Reverb or Chameleon and stand outside and not have the money to go to a show they want to see, but stand outside and listen and wait for people to come out. I used to do it every weekend. My wife would help me as well. We would just stand outside the Chameleon. We would park and wait for hour, 2 hours just for people to come out of the show so I can hand out flyers, promoting shows at the Silo or Ryan Holt's Community Center or Fire Hall.
I miss Wooden Waves and Sound Waves. Do you remember that venue?
That was a great venue
I
as
miss
well.
that so much. We played there like one time.
Yeah.
It was like way the fuck back before I knew you.
Heasters was another one in Reading, that Heasters Lanes, where they used to do underground shows. Seen a lot of shows there. It's sad. It's sad when venues that you grew up seeing shows disappear. And that's probably the best piece of advice I can give to anybody playing is support your venues, support the people that are giving you the opportunity to play, because once those opportunities are gone, they're gone. When those venues get shut down or when they don't have the money to continue to do it anymore, then where are you guys going to play?
Here's an awesome example. This guy Brandon Geffrey books for the Lizard Lounge and stuff in the Chameleon. He posts on his Facebook the one day. He has this Teenage Crime Wave. It's like a store, and he's like doing all kinds of cool shit. But anyway, he's like, all right, so you're in a band and you want to play one of my shows? Don't message me. Come out to the show, walk up to me and talk to me. Say hello, come introduce yourself, and we'll talk about you getting on one of my shows. He's like, if you're not out going to shows and supporting music, I don't have time to answer your email.
Yeah,
because local bands will just beat you to death with emails and IMs, and it's like, go out to a fucking show, go make yourself seen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and back in like 2005, 2006, if somebody was like talking about shows and like come to my show, it's like people would call you out. They'd be like, motherfucker, I don't see you out at shows.
Yeah, you're not
you're not at shows
the
and you're not supporting. Why should I come see you?
Back then you'd have to pick which show you were going to go to. Yeah. It would be like, all right, well, I got a friend in this band and a friend in this band, and okay, well, Friday night I used to jump from show to show. Well,
I've done it.
Friday night, from 6 to 9, this show's going on, and from 8 to 10, this show's going on, and you would leave one and go to the other, and you would push for it. Again, building a scene and being seen, and being hands-on, is something that you really need to do. My wife gets mad because we'll go out and somebody will be like, yo, Mark Cole, what's up, man? How you doing? Hey, let's talk about getting my band on a show. And, I'll look at, she'll be like, who's that? And I'll look at her and be like, I don't know, but I recognize the face. But, it's because I've been doing this for so long, and I've made myself seen. I've made myself known. I've interacted, I'm hands-on, and I still am, even though that I manage a nightclub now and book for a venue full time, I'm still on stage doing the changeovers. I'm still walking around the club making sure everybody's okay. I'm not hiding in the office. I'm not hiding behind my computer.
He's not sitting there counting money with a cigar.
That's not my style. I like to be hands-on with everything and be involved in everything.
So basic tip, if you want to be in a band playing shows, go to shows, be seen, talk to other bands, talk to promoters. Don't email a bunch of people spam from their Facebook accounts saying,
Network,
"Oh,
man.
can I please my band play your show?" And it's like the other thing is the fake Facebook likes things. We gotta stop this. Like, I don't know. Like, people go buy likes on Facebook. It's like if you post something and 2 people comment on it and you have 10,000 likes, it's pretty obvious that those likes are probably a little inactive. And it's like these, I don't know, you can't just go buy 10,000 Facebook likes and expect your band to blow up.
Yeah,
Like,
there's ways to do it and there's ways not to do it. You know, paying for likes is not the way to do it. You know, one of the most useful tools we use as a venue is you know, your ads, your Facebook ads and sponsored posts. You know, again, put money into it. Treat it like a business, treat it like a job. You know, we do every show that we do sponsor posts. We do paid boosted posts, you know, where we're target marketing, you know, people who like that. I spent all afternoon doing those same posts, you know, but you know, it has sort of filled where the Flyers have left us and lacked.
It's all we have.
You know?
And the other thing is, at least if you put up a sponsored post, the people that actually liked your fucking page will see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Facebook filters out who sees your posts. You could have 1,000 people like your page, and 400 people might see a post.
Yep.
Not everyone on your list sees every post you make.
I mean, the sponsor posts have been probably, like I said, the best thing that we've done. We've gotten really good with target marketing. And, you know, if somebody's going to come see, let's say, Cryptopsy next Wednesday night where we have them at Reverb, you know, I just did a post for them today where, you know, I'm targeting Cryptopsy fans and fans of similar bands, you know, Cannibal Corpse and Decrepit Birth and, you know, Rivers and Nile, you know, and targeting those death metal bands that, you know, people who like Cryptopsy would also like, you know, and targeting an area. You know, I usually go from Philly to Harrisburg and, you know, up north to like Wilkes-Barre area, you know, and target a wide range. But you know, that's something you know, that we use every day, and it is really worth the money. So if you want to do it, you know, if you're in a band and you sound like August Burns Red, you know, tag August Burns Red, tag Texas in July, you know, tag all those bands that are similar, you know, to see your post. That's how to do it the right way.
Well, yeah.
You know, going to one of these spam companies and saying, hey, you know, if you pay us $200, we'll get you 1 million likes.
Yeah.
Those 1 million likes aren't doing anything for you.
They're worthless.
Yeah, they're worthless because those 1 million people are not seeing your post. They're not seeing your stuff.
And most of them are just
liking, they're not
it's just a
commenting.
click farm in India.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's all it is.
You know, it's you know, it's just another form of telemarketing, you know.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing is, it's just like, I would rather have 500 people that actually legitimately like my band and follow my page than have 10,000 likes that are not legit. And it's like, I don't know, it's a waste. Why put the time into that when you could be putting time into actually going out and meeting people and
promoting band.
your shit?
Yeah, we were really busy during launch. We would go to like 2-3 shows in one day that during launch. It was a lot of fun actually. We were really tired by the end of it, but it was a really good time. We were just walking between venues. We're like, screw it, we'll just go see everybody we can, you know. But we actually wound up missing some that we really wanted to see, but you know, things overlap.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do.
But yeah, it was a good time.
All right, so on our way out of here, what do you have to say to the people that are going to come to Kohlfest?
Come out, support the show, support a great time, support Reverb.
When the doors open?
Doors open at noon for Kohlfest. It's an all-day event. It's going to be great. You know, we're going to have grills going and you know, lots of food and drink for sale and just all out great environment. Like I said, Rock Rage Radio is going to be out doing some live broadcast and interviews. iRockRadio.me, they're going to be there doing a similar thing. Cold Cock Whiskey will be handing some swag out. I already got boxes of swag sitting in my bedroom right now for
Nice.
Cold Cock that they've already sent me.
Are tickets, they're already available, I'm guessing?
Tickets are available online, reverbconcerts.com. You can get them through Eventbrite and Ticketmaster as well.
Even if you don't get them until the day of the show because you're a procrastinator, Do you think there's still a decent chance that you could get in at the door? Or
Tickets will be available at the door. They're 30 at the door. They're 25 in advance. Lots of local support. Come to our Facebook page. Again, Reverb Concerts. Check out the event. Check out all the locals. Support the local bands that are playing this show. They need to sell tickets as well. If you can't make it out to a local, grab them from our website. Check out all the other shows we got going on. We got great lineup coming this summer.
you can spit a few of them out if you want. I mean,
We got Cryptopsy coming. We have Fit for an Autopsy. We have Bubba Sparks, Corey Feldman, L.A. Guns, Sebastian Bach, Dead Rabbits, Dead Horse Trauma. A bunch of shows coming up this summer. There's lots of stuff that's not even on our calendar yet that I can't talk about
you
yet.
excited?
Always, I see some stuff come across
like,
our
"Oh,
calendar,
shit."
and again, it makes me feel like a kid in a candy store. It's been a really big year for us, and we're hoping to keep the momentum going and keep booking big shows.
Everybody, let's get your asses out to these shows, please. Support the local and the national scene.
Yeah, best of luck with all that. We couldn't be happier for all the success that you've had and all the because we know you put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, it's nice to see somebody that worked as hard as you did and made all the sacrifices actually get to the point of where you're like in one of the biggest venues in the state, just running it, and it's an awesome time. It's a great venue, and I got to say the sound there is awesome. If you want to go see a show, you won't be disappointed with the sound.
Appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, it means a lot to me when I go out to a concert, because I've been to a few venues where it's like it's kind of hit or miss.
It's
when you
hit
go
or
to
miss
see a
for us
band.
sometimes too, and the biggest thing that we face is a lot of touring bands bring their own sound guy, and every sound guy has a difference. Our sound guy knows the room.
Well,
he
yeah.
knows what to do. He knows where to filter, certain frequencies.
Well, that's where their sound guy should at least talk to him and
Yeah,
say, "All right,
yep.
well, what about this? What about this?"
we had a show last week where every touring band had their own sound guy. Every sound guy had a different way of doing things, and the band that sounded the best out of the whole night was the local that our guys did sound for. Everybody else was just trying to push the room and make it loud and push it. And then they're going, well, where's all this feedback coming from? Well, it's named reverb for a reason. The building has a natural echo. It has a natural reverb. And there's certain things that you just can't do in our room. And, there's guys that come in and they get it. Machine Gun Kelly Wednesday night. We had sold out Machine Gun Kelly. That sound guy was awesome. He didn't bring his own console like most of these other guys do. He used our console. He used our settings, and he had that room. And Machine Gun Kelly had a full band, full
wow.
everything behind him, full light show, and that was probably the one of the tightest touring packages that have come through there as far as sound. The guy was just so on point with it, and I actually thanked him at the end of the night for making my job so much easier, not having to come in and yell and talk to sound guys that don't know what they're doing or just want to try to push volume. It was amazing. So, that's one thing we face is, dealing with touring
I
sound
can
guys
imagine.
that are in and out of different rooms.
Turning
and,
it up to 11 and
Yeah.
fuck it. As long
exactly.
as it's loud,
They
nobody
don't care.
cares.
As long as it's loud.
We're the loudest band in reverb.
Well, that's awesome to hear. I mean, at least some people are still doing it right.
And, you persevered through all this shit, and now you're running these big-ass shows. You have your own concert event. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure you meet tons of cool ass people all the time. So,
Well, obviously, you said you met Jesse and got to talk to him.
well, no,
That's-
I'm just talking about the people that come to the shows.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure
even
tons
that.
of those are cool ass people.
Yeah, I mean that's great as well, And again, for over the last 10 years, I've met 12 years, I've met a lot of cool people. I like mingling and hanging out and talking to everybody that's at the show and just doing doing what I love to do. And again, some of the artists I've got to work with, I've got to work with Hatebreed, which is my all-time favorite band. I mean the list goes on. Like I said, Fear Factory, Kill Switch. Some idols growing up. I got to hang on the bus with Jesse Dupree from Jackal
That's
a few weeks
awesome.
ago. I grew up with the Lumberjack song.
Oh, we all
that was
did.
a huge hit as I was a kid, and so I'm also I'm excited for Sebastian Bach from Skid Row. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, that should be tight.
Huge Skid Row fan as well.
He's off of all of his Trailer Park Boys fame.
Does he? Do they bring a full on chainsaw in and stuff? Do they do that still?
Yeah. They had a chainsaw. It was actually in their rider. He needed a wooden stool to
so he can cut
saw
it
in half.
Yeah, I saw him do that on TV. Yeah.
Some of my family members actually were up front and got handed the pieces of the
stool.
The stool that was.
Do yourself
chainsawed.
a favor, everybody that's on here. Google Tom Green and that guy from Jackal.
Jesse James Dupree.
Yeah,
Jesse James
because he
Dupree,
fucking chainsawed Tom Green's desk in half. Had it was like one of those the Tom Green show or something. Yeah, it was hilarious. You got to go see it. So
that's cool.
Not to change the subject, but while we were on Jackal.
Yeah, I mean that was great. Like I said, I got to hang out on the tour bus with him for a little bit and talk to him. So that was cool. They've been around for a long time. And they're still kicking it. They sounded great. Put on one hell of a show. And we're just again all around tight dudes to talk to.
That's cool. A lot of guys are singing that register, kind of lose it once they get up there in years. So the fact that he's still out doing it, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was tight. I mean, it was great. It was a solid performance, and he didn't hold back. And bottle after bottle of whiskey on stage. He don't care.
When are you getting one of the 3 versions of Rat in there?
I don't. I mean, if it comes up,
Bobby Blotzer's Rat or Stephen Piercy's Rat, or
I mean, we're doing a lot of '80s hair metal right now. We're doing the L.A. Guns reunion.
Bill Nolan. Shout out Bill Nolan. We're always talking about the hair metal every morning. Whatever's on Metal Sucks, we'll text each other back or what's on.
Yeah, because there's always news.
There's always something about Rat or somebody arguing, and Bobby Blotzer is trying to start his own Rat. So we're like, he's back at it.
We were joking about starting our own Rat, but we're probably not good enough musicians to start our own Rat. But still,
I mean, we probably could. I mean, we could probably be.
Bobby Blotzer could have his own Rat. All right. Well, anyway, it was awesome having you on, and I definitely am stoked to get you back on to talk about other shit in the future. Definitely about doing a band podcast would be fun. I think as long as it was outlined in advance. But,
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Definitely appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, so anyway, get out to Kohlfest, June 10th. Reverb starts at noon. Tickets are $25 in advance, is that correct?
Yep.
$30 day of. So get them early.
Be there.
Don't procrastinate. Save that $5. You can go buy a beer.
For real.
Or something else.
Yeah.
For $5. You can get a foot long at whatever at a sub place.
Whatever you like for $5.
Yeah. Anything. You go get, a couple sandwiches. I don't know. All right. Well, anyway, this is kind of going off the rails. All right, Mark. Thanks for being here, and good luck at your show and all your bookings in the near future.
Awesome, guys. Thank you very much.
I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the Damn Podcast with Mark Cole from Reverb. It's a nice club over in Reading. If you ever want to go see a band, it's a great place to see them. They get tons of big acts in there and tons of local acts, so go out there and support the scene. Since there's no other bands involved in this episode, we're going to do a little shameless promotion 2005 style. So we got Carolina by 7 Revolutions coming up next to send you out of the episode. Enjoy your week, everybody. Thank you so much for being here.
Damn, son, isn't that enough?
Flowing through me like a cancer. Thoughts make this such an infestation. Will I ever find my answers? I think I'll try to steal them from you. But feelings are not something for me. They only confuse this whole situation. And if I squeeze that trigger, are you scared of me, sweet?